The 26th of March, 1911, Volume 10. The only relief that cheers Jesus is love. This morning, as I was outside of myself, I saw the celestial mama with the baby in her arms. The divine baby called me with his little hand, and I flew to put myself on my knees before the Queen Mama. And Jesus told me, "My daughter, today I want you to speak with our Mama." And I said, "My celestial Mama, tell me, is there anything in me that displeases Jesus?" And she, "Dearest daughter of mine, be tranquil, for now I don't see anything that may displease my son. If, may it never be, you will run into something that can displease him, I will let you know immediately. Trust your Mama, and do not fear." As the Celestial Queen assured me, I felt new life being infused in me, and I added, "My most sweet Mama, what sad times we are in. Tell me, is it really true that Jesus wants the reunions of priests?" And she, "He surely does, because the waves are rising too high, and these reunions will be the anchors, the lamps, the helm, with which the church will be saved from shipwreck caused by the storm. In fact, while it will appear that the storm has submerged everything, after the storm it will be seen that the anchors, the lamps, the helm, that is, the most stable things, in order to continue the life of the church, are still there. But, oh, how vile, cowardly, and hard-hearted they are. Almost none of them moves. While these are times for works, the enemies are not resting, while they remain there in sluggishness. But so much the worse for them." Then she added, "My daughter, try to make up for everything by means of love. May you cherish one thing alone, to love, one thought alone, one word alone, one life alone. Love. If you want to content and please Jesus, love him and give him always the occasion to speak of love. This is the only relief that cheers him. Love. Tell him to speak to you of love, and he will put himself in feast." And I, "My tender Jesus, did you hear what our Mama is saying? That I should ask you for love and to speak about love?" And Jesus, celebrating, said such and so many things about the virtue, the height, the nobility of love, that is not for the human language to be able to repeat it. Therefore I stop here. End of the reading. The 26th of March, 1918, Volume 12. As one operates in the divine will, what is human remains as though suspended, and the divine life acts and takes its place. Continuing in my usual state, I was trying to fuse myself in the divine volition when my sweet Jesus told me, "My daughter, each time the soul enters my volition and prays, works, suffers, etc., she acquires as many new divine beauties. Therefore, one more act or one act less done in my will is one more beauty or one beauty less which the soul acquires. Not only this, but in every additional act that she does in my will, she takes one more divine strength, wisdom, love, sanctity. And while she takes the divine qualities, she leaves the human ones. Even more, as she operates in my will, what is human remains as though suspended. The divine life acts and takes its place, and my love has the freedom to form its attitude within the creature." End of the reading. The 26th of March, 1927, Volume 21. One who possesses the divine will is the call of all the acts of it. As many acts as the soul does in the divine will, so many times does she rise again in the divine life. How one who does not do the divine will is the petty thief of creation. I was thinking to myself, when I go around in the supreme will, following its acts in creation and redemption, it seems that all things speak. All of them have something to say about this admirable volition. But when I am occupied with something else, all things remain silent. It seems that they have nothing to say. But while I was thinking about this, the sun penetrated into my little room and its light pounded on my bed. I felt myself being invested by its light and heat, and at that moment, a light came out from within my interior, and as it dived into the light of the sun, the two of them kissed. I was surprised, and my sweet Jesus told me, "My daughter, how beautiful is my divine will, bilocated in you and in the sun. When it dwells in the soul and makes a sweet encounter with its own works, it makes feast, and as it plunges into its own acts that it exercises in the created things, they kiss each other, and one light remains, while the other returns triumphantly to its place to exercise its office, wanted by my will itself. So the soul who possesses my will is the call of all of the acts of it. And as they meet, they immediately recognize each other. This is why when you go around in creation and redemption, all things speak to you. Those are the acts of my will that speak to you within them. In fact, it is right that one who possesses it know its life, that while it seems to be divided among many created things and distinct in many different acts, is yet one single act. And it is necessary that one who possesses it be aware of all its acts in order to form one single act with all the acts of my will. Then, while following the acts that the Supreme Fiat had done in redemption, I arrived at when my sweet Jesus was in the act of rising again from death, and I was saying, "My Jesus, just as my I love you has followed you into limbo and investing all the inhabitants of that place, we have asked you all together to hasten the coming of the kingdom of your supreme fiat upon earth. So do I want to impress my continuous I love you upon the tomb of your resurrection, so that just as your divine will made your most holy humanity rise again as the fulfillment of redemption and as the new contract that would restore the kingdom of your will upon earth, in the same way, with my incessant I love you, following all the acts you did in redemption, I ask you, I pray you, I supplicate you to make souls rise again in your will, so that your kingdom may be established in the midst of creatures." Now, while I was saying this and other things, my beloved Jesus moved in my interior and told me, "My daughter, as many acts as the soul does in my will, so many times does she rise again in the divine life. And the more acts she does in it, the more the divine life grows and the more complete becomes the glory of the resurrection. Therefore, the foundation, the substance, the light, the beauty, the glory are formed by the acts done in my will. The more contact the soul has had with my will, the more it can give, embellish, and expand. Even more, one who has always lived in my volition, since my will has had its dominion over all the acts of the creature, will possess the act ever new of my fiat. So not only will she receive the new and continuous act of the Beatitudes from God, but by virtue of my will that she has possessed on earth, she will possess the new act of the Beatitudes within herself, such that, as she releases it from herself, it will invest the whole celestial fatherland. And so there will be such harmony between the new act of God and the new act of one who has possessed my will as to form the most beautiful enchantment for that celestial dwelling. The prodigies of my will are eternal and ever new. After this, I was thinking to myself, how is it that from such a high place, when he was created by God, Adam fell so low after sin? Am I always lovable, Jesus, moving in my interior told me, my daughter, in creation one was the will that entered the field in creating all things, and by right to it alone belonged the dominion, the regime, and the carrying out of its very life in each thing and being created by it. Now, because man withdrew from our will, the will that reigned on earth was no longer one, but there were two. And since the human will is inferior to the divine, man emptied himself of all the goods of this supreme fiat, and in doing his own will, he took the place away from the divine will. And this was the greatest of sorrows. More so, since this human will had come out of and had been created by the divine will, so that everything might be its own property, its own dominion. Now, by withdrawing from our will, man rendered himself guilty of stealing the divine rights, and by doing his will, nothing of the things created by this fiat belonged to him any more. So he was to find a place in which our creative work did not extend, but this too was impossible for him. This place cannot be found. So while he was not with our will, he would take from the things that belonged to it in order to live. He would make use of the sun, of the water, of the fruits of the earth, of everything. And these were all thefts that he made against us. So by not doing our will, man rendered himself the petty thief of all our goods. How sorrowful it was to see that the creation was to serve so many deserters, so many who did not belong to the kingdom of the divine fiat. And for as many creatures as would come to light and would not live in our kingdom, not letting themselves be dominated by our will, so many places would our will lose upon earth. It happened as in a family in which, instead of the father being the one who commands and dominates, all the children command and dominate, who are not even in accord among themselves. One commands one thing, another something else. What sorrow for this poor father in seeing his dominion taken away from him by his children, and what confusion and the disorder in this family. Much more sorrowful for my supreme fiat was that the work of its own creative hands took away its dominion from it, and by doing his own will, he put himself against mine, taking the right to reign away from it. My daughter, not doing my will is the evil that encloses all evil. It is the collapse of all goods. It is the destruction of happiness, of order, of peace. It is the great loss of my divine kingdom. End of the reading. The 26th of March, 1933, Volume 32. Littleness in the Divine Will. How God does the greatest works gratuitously. Example, as with creation and redemption, so with the kingdom of the divine will. In the incarnation, the heavens lowered themselves. I felt myself as besieged, invested by the light of the eternal volition. So my littleness is so much that, fearing for myself, I do nothing other than hide myself even more in this celestial sojourn. Oh, how I would love to destroy this littleness of mine, so that it would feel nothing other than the divine volition alone. But I understand that I cannot do it, nor does Jesus want that it be entirely destroyed. Yet he wants it little, but alive in order to be able to operate inside of a living volition, not dead, so as to be able to have his little field, tiny field of action in my littleness, that being little, incapable, weak, with reason, must lend itself to receiving the great work of the divine fiat. Now, in this sojourn, sometimes everything is silent, pacific, with a serenity such that not even a puff of wind is felt. Other times a light breeze blows that refreshes and invigorates, and the celestial inhabitant Jesus moves himself, reveals himself, and with all love speaks about his royal palace and about what his lovable and adorable volition has done and does. So my dear life, revealing himself, told me, "My little daughter of my will, you must know that the littleness of the creature serves us as the space where to be able to form our works. It serves us as the nothing of creation. And because it is nothing, we call to life inside of her our most beautiful works. We want that this littleness be empty of everything that does not pertain to us, but alive, so that she would feel how much we love her and the life of the works of our will that it develops in her. Therefore, you must content yourself with remaining alive without you being the master, because this is the greatest sacrifice and heroism of one who lives of divine will, feeling herself alive in order to endure the divine mastery, such that she does what it wants, how it wants, as long as it wants. This is the sacrifice of sacrifices, the heroism of heroisms. Does it seem little to you to feel that the life of one's own volition would not serve oneself, as if it would not have the right to lose one's own freedom voluntarily, so that it would serve my will, giving it its just rights?" Jesus was silent. Then, as if he could read in my soul about certain doubts of mine that went through me concerning the divine will, he added, "My daughter, the greatest works done by our Supreme Being all have been done gratuitously, without paying attention to if the creatures merited it or would ask us for it. If we paid attention to this, it would have been necessary for us to bind our arms and not do more work. And if the ungrateful creatures do not glorify us, to not even have the good of making ourselves glorified and extolled by our own works, no, no. One single work of ours glorifies us, even more than all the works united together of all the human generations. One complete act of our will fills heaven and earth, and with its virtue and its regenerative and communicative power, it regenerates for us so much glory that it never ends, and hardly are the little drops given to creatures to comprehend it. Indeed, what merit did man have that we created the sky, the sun, and all the rest? He did not exist yet. He could not say anything to us. In fact, creation was a great work of marvelous magnificence, all gratuitous of God, and the redemption. Do you believe that man merited it? Indeed, it was all gratuitous. And if he prayed to us, it was because we made him the promise of the future Redeemer. He was not the first to say it to us, but we were. It was our all gratuitous decree that the Word would take human flesh, and it was completed when sin, human ingratitude, galloped and inundated the whole earth. And if it seems that they did something, they were hardly little drops that could not be enough to merit a work so great that gives of the incredible, that of God made himself similar to man in order to place him, man, in safety, and that additionally man had made him so many offences. Now, the great work of making known my will, so that it could reign in the midst of creatures, will be a work of ours, completely gratuitous. And this is the mistake, that they believe that it will be the merit and on the part of creatures. Ah, yes, it will be there, as the little drops of the Hebrews when I came to redeem them. But the creature is always creature. Therefore, it will be completely gratuitous on our part, because abounding with light, with grace, with love to her, we will overwhelm her in a way that she will feel strength never felt, love never experienced. She will feel our life beating more vividly in her soul, so much so that it will be sweet for her to let our will dominate. This life of ours still exists in the soul, It was given to her by us at the beginning of her creation, but it is so repressed and hidden that it is as if she did not have it. It is like the fire under the ash that covered and is crushed under it. It does not feel the benefit of the life of the heat, but suppose a strong wind. The ash disperses from over the fire. The fire makes his life seen and felt. The same strong wind of the light of my being will place in flight the evils, the passions that as ash hide the divine life in them. And feeling it vividly, they will be ashamed to not let our will dominate. My daughter, time will say everything, and those who do not believe will remain confused. After this, I followed the divine will in the incarnation of the Word, in order to make my love, my adoration, and thanksgiving run in this act so solemn and full of tenderness and excessive love that heaven and earth are shaken and remain mute, not finding words worthy to extol an excess of love so amazing. And my sweet Jesus, with a tenderness as to break my heart, told me, dearest daughter, so much love was in my incarnation that the heavens lowered themselves and the earth elevated itself. If the heavens had not lowered themselves, the earth would not have had the virtue of elevating itself. It was the heaven of our supreme being that, taken by an excess of love, the greatest not ever heard of, lowered itself, kissed the earth, elevating it to itself, and formed the garment of my humanity in order to cover itself, hide itself, identify itself, unite itself together in order to live a life in common with it, and forming not only one excess of love, but a chain of continuous excesses. It restricted my immensity into the little circle of my humanity. For me, the power, the immensity, the strength was nature, and using it would have cost me nothing. What costs me was that I had to restrict my immensity in my humanity and remain as if I did not have either power or strength, while they were already with me and inseparable from me. And I had to adapt myself to the little acts of my humanity, and only for love, not because I could not. Therefore I descended in all the human acts in order to elevate them and give them the divine form and order. Man, by doing his will, destroyed in himself the divine way and order, and my divinity, covered by my humanity, came to redo what had been destroyed by him. Can one give greater love toward a creature so ungrateful? End of the reading. The 26th of March, 1937, Volume 34. The creation and the humanity of our Lord are fields in which one who lives in the divine will develops her acts. How she forms the humanity of our Lord and the paradise of Jesus on earth. My flight in the divine fiat continues, and in it I feel that everything is mine. And I feel the need of knowing, of loving what belongs to me, and that with so much love he has given to me. And while I was going around in the works of the divine volition, dear Jesus, my sweet life, repeating his brief little visit to me, all goodness told me, my little daughter of my volition, how true it is that in order for love to arise, one must possess what one loves. If one does not possess it, love does not arise. Not loving things that are one's own is almost impossible. It is a connatural love, and of justice to love what is one's own. This is why I love creatures so much. I conserve them, I give them life, because they are my works. I have created them. I have put them forth to the light. They are mine. I am the heartbeat of their heartbeat, their breath, the life of their life. I cannot do less than love them. If I did not love them, my love would give me continuous reproaches. It would tell me, why have you created them if you would not love them? It is a right of love to love what is one's own. My justice would condemn me. All my attributes would wage war with me. This is why, in order to be loved by the creatures, I say, I am your God, your Creator, your Celestial Father. I am your everything, as indeed I am. Here also is the reason why I told you the one who wants to live in my volition. Everything is yours, the sky, the sun, the whole creation is yours. My life is yours, my sufferings, even my breath is yours. This is why you feel the need to love as I feel it, to love what is yours, what your Jesus has given to your possession. Now you must know that the creation and my humanity are fields where the soul develops her acts when she does and lives in my will. Having been given the possession of it, she feels the need of circulating like blood in the veins in the works of her Creator. She wants to know their value, the good that they do, the office that they occupy, also in order to love them even more, in order to appreciate them, and also in order to feel happier, richer by the so many goods that she possesses. This is why now she comes near the sun in order to know the secrets of its light, the rainbows of its colour, the virtue of its heat, its continuous miracle that it develops on the face of the earth, that only by touching it with its light it vivifies, it colours, it sweetens, it transforms. And oh, how she loves the sun, because it is hers, and she loves even more he who has created it. She does the same with all the other created things. She wants to know the secret virtue that they contain in order to love them some more, and in order to be grateful and to love even more he who has given her the possession. Therefore, there is nothing to marvel that the one who lives in my divine will comes to be called the heiress of the whole creation. Now, from the field of the creation, she passes to the field of my humanity. But who can tell you then, my daughter, about the marvels that happen in this living field? Not works alone as in the creation, but of human and divine life. They put themselves at my place, nor can I refuse myself, because I am of them. They have the right over me, and I am happy that they possess me, because they will love me even more. Now, in this field of mine, these creatures repeat my life. They love with my own love. Their acts fused with mine form so many suns, skies, stars. Oh, how much more beautiful than those of the creation that fill the field of my humanity. Oh, how I feel myself loved and glorified, because these suns, skies, and stars are not mute as those of the creation, but they are speaking suns with the fullness of reason. And how well they speak about my love. They speak and they love me. They speak and they tell me the history of souls and that of my love. And therefore they win my favour, such that I must place them in safety. They speak and they cover themselves with my sufferings in order to repeat my life. And I feel these souls flow in my tears, in my words, in my works and steps, and I find in them refreshment in my sufferings, my support, my defence, my refuge. And so much is my love for them that I arrive at calling them my life. Oh, how I love them. I possess them and they possess me. To possess and love, even to folly, is all the same. Now, these souls who live in my will are disposed to receiving all the sufferings of my humanity, because it being impossible for me to suffer, because I'm glorious in heaven, my will with its omnipotent breath creates the sufferings, the sorrows, and forms there my living humanity as substitutes for me in everything. And they are the new saviours who give their life in order to save the entire world. In fact, from heaven I look at the earth and I find as many Jesuses who, taken by the same folly of my love, give their life at the cost of sufferings and of death in order to tell me, I am your faithful copy. The sufferings make me smile because I enclose souls. And oh, how I love them. I do not feel alone anymore. I feel happy, victorious, because having company in developing the same life and suffering the same sufferings and wanting what I want is my greatest happiness and my paradise on earth. See, therefore, how many great, portentous things my divine will knows how to do, provided they live in it. It forms my same living humanity and procures for me the same joys of my celestial fatherland. Therefore take to heart to always live in my will. Do not think of anything else, because if you do this, I feel my love broken in you. And if you knew how much it cost me to not be loved for even one moment, in fact, in that moment, I remain alone. You break the happiness with me, and in my delirium of love, I keep repeating, how is it? I always love her, and she no. Therefore, be attentive, because I do not want to ever remain alone. End of the reading. There are no more readings today.